Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something pretty fascinating. Tokenizing physical assets, specifically gold and silver.
Yeah, bringing those traditional safe havens into the digital world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, wanting to invest in gold or silver traditionally, well, it comes with hurdles, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. Where do you even buy it? How much does it cost just to get started?
And keeping it secure, that's a big one. Plus, maybe you only want a small piece, like fractional ownership. That's often tricky.
It really is. For a lot of people, the idea of holding actual gold bars or even a decent chunk of silver, it just feels out of reach.
You've got storage costs, maybe insurance.
Right. And if you just want a little bit of exposure, the options can be limited or they tack on extra fees.
Okay, so what if you could get around some of that? That's where RX or ARX comes in.
They're using blockchain technology to tackle these issues.
And here's a really interesting angle. They're building it all in line with Islamic finance principles. Sharia compliance is key here.
Which opens up a whole different dimension.
So we've been digging into their white paper. Our goal today is to pull out the core ideas, understand how it works, and, get a sense of the potential here.
Yeah, think of this as your rundown on this new approach to precious metals. We'll look at the why, the how, the tech.
And that Sharia angle, too. Let's get into it. First off, the big picture, the why. What's aurex trying to achieve?
Well, their vision, according to the white paper, is pretty clear. Democratize access to gold and silver. Make it easier for basically anyone, anywhere.
And doing it securely, transparently,
Yeah.
and as we said, in a Sharia-compliant way.
Right. The mission feeds into that. They want a decentralized platform, secure, transparent for trading, holding.
And even redeeming the tokens for the actual physical metal.
Exactly. It's the full cycle.
Okay, let's talk market size. Gold and silver. We're talking massive global markets, right?
Yes.
Trillions of dollars.
Huge. Absolutely huge. But the white paper points out something interesting.
What's that?
The amount of that market that's currently tokenized, it's tiny, like less than 1%.
Wow, less than 1%. That really highlights the gap, doesn't it, between the physical and digital worlds for these assets.
It shows the scale of the opportunity they're aiming for, but also maybe the challenges involved in building that bridge.
So who are they targeting with this? Who's the ideal user?
It seems like a pretty broad mix. You've got your regular retail investors, maybe people new to investing altogether.
Then the crypto-native crowd, people already comfortable with digital assets.
Yep. And crucially, that Islamic investor community we mentioned, adherence to Sharia principles is non-negotiable for them.
But it's not just for them, right? The white paper mentions traditional investors too.
Exactly. People looking for diversification, maybe a modern way to hold precious metals. This ethical finance angle, it's not just a niche anymore.
No, there's real demand for investments that align with specific values.
And one of the key innovations enabling all this, especially for smaller investors, is fractional ownership.
Right. Explain that a bit.
It means you don't need thousands of dollars to buy a whole gold bar. You could buy, say, a fraction of a gram's worth.
Which dramatically lowers the barrier to entry, makes it accessible even if you only have a small amount to invest.
Precisely. It really opens the door.
Okay, so that's the why. Let's get into the how. How does RX actually turn physical metal into digital tokens?
The core mechanism is one-to-one tokenization. So they have two main tokens, ARXG for gold and ARXS for silver.
And each token represents
1 gram of the actual metal. And not just any metal. It has to be LBMA certified. Good delivery standard.
LBMA, London Bullion Market Association. So recognized quality.
Exactly. So 1 ARXG token equals 1 gram of LBMA gold. 1 ARXS equals 1 gram of LBMA silver. It's a direct backing.
But what about price swings? Gold and silver prices move all the time. How does the token price stay pegged if the market fluctuates?
Well, the token isn't pegged in the sense of a stablecoin trying to hold $1. It's pegged to the asset.
Ah, okay. So the value of ARXG will fluctuate directly with the market price of 1 gram of gold.
Precisely. Same for ARXS and silver. The value is tied to the underlying metal's real-time market price.
Got it. So how do you trade these tokens? What does the platform actually consist of?
There are a few key parts. First, a decentralized exchange, a DEXs.
So it's a peer-to-peer trading. No central middleman taking a cut.
That's the idea. More direct, potentially lower-cost trading between users.
Makes sense. What else?
A mobile wallet. They emphasize it being user-friendly, multilingual, aiming for global accessibility.
And the physical metal itself, where is it?
This is crucial. It's stored in insured, audited vaults. Security is paramount.
Audited by who?
Independent third parties, according to the white paper, and they mention real-time proof of reserves.
What does that mean practically?
It means, theoretically, you can go onto the blockchain and see verification that the amount of gold and silver held in the vaults matches the amount of ARXG and ARXS tokens that have been issued.
So constant transparency about the backing. That builds trust?
It's designed to. And finally, they're building in cross-chain compatibility.
Meaning the tokens aren't stuck on just one blockchain.
Right. They can potentially move between different blockchain networks, increasing their usability, like building bridges between blockchain highways.
Okay, interesting. Let's peek under the hood a bit. What's the tech powering this?
The foundation is built on Sidra chain, which they describe as a layer 2 solution.
Layer 2. So, built on top of another blockchain to make things faster and cheaper.
Essentially, yes. Designed for higher transaction throughput and lower fees compared to, say, transacting directly on a main chain like Ethereum all the time.
And smart contracts must be involved, right?
Absolutely. They manage the token creation, transfers, everything. The white paper states these are audited for security.
And compatible with Ethereum standards, like ERC20.
Yes, ERC20, but they also mention extensions like ERC1400, which has features specifically useful for security tokens and managing digital assets.
Okay. How do they get real-world data, like the price of gold, onto the blockchain?
They're using Chainlink oracles for that. Oracles act as secure bridges for off-chain data.
So Chainlink feeds in the live market prices.
Yes, and apparently it also plays a role in verifying the custody data, confirming the metal is actually in the vaults.
Security seems layered. Anything else on that front?
They mention multi-sig security for the custodial wallets.
Meaning multiple approvals are needed to access funds, like needing several keys for a vault.
Exactly. Prevents a single point of failure or unauthorized access.
And tying back to what you said earlier, transparency is built in. Transactions, reserves,
Yeah.
all viewable on-chain.
That seems to be a core principle.
Now let's circle back to that really unique feature, the Sharia compliance. How deeply is this integrated?
Very deeply, it seems. The white paper is explicit about strict adherence to Islamic finance principles.
Like prohibiting riba, interest.
Exactly, no riba. And also, no gharar, which means avoiding excessive uncertainty or speculation. Pure gambling is out.
How does tokenizing gold fit with that?
Because the tokens are fully asset-backed, they represent direct ownership of a tangible asset, the physical gold and silver. Islamic finance generally favors transactions based on real assets.
And they have a board to oversee this.
Yes, a certified Sharia advisory board. They provide guidance and ensure the platform's operations, contracts, and products comply.
Is this board independent? How do you ensure their advice is unbiased?
That's always a fair question with advisory boards. The white paper emphasizes their certification and mentions regular, ongoing audits specifically for Sharia compliance. These external checks are meant to provide that layer of impartiality.
So it's not just a stamp of approval at the start, but continuous monitoring.
That's the claim. It's presented as an ongoing commitment.
Which must be crucial for building trust within the Islamic finance community.
Absolutely. It provides assurance that the platform operates within their ethical and financial guidelines.
Okay, let's shift to the ARX token itself. Not ARXG or ARSS, but the main platform token, ARX.
Right, the native token of the aurex ecosystem.
Total supply is capped at 100 million ARX. What's backing this token?
This is interesting. The white paper says the ARX token's backing is allocated 75% from the gold reserves, ARXG, and 25% from the silver reserves, ARXS.
Huh. So holding ARX isn't direct ownership of just gold or just silver, but exposure to a pool of both.
That seems to be the structure. It represents a stake in the combined reserves, weighted 7-5-25 towards gold.
What can you do with the ARX token? What's its utility?
Several things listed. Governance is one, potentially giving holders a say in the platform's future direction.
Like voting on proposals.
Could be, yes. Then there are practical benefits. Discounts on transaction fees if you pay using ARX.
Okay, makes sense. Any income potential?
They mentioned staking and yield opportunities. So you could potentially lock up your ARX tokens to earn rewards.
And can you get the physical metal with ARX?
The white paper suggests ARX might also be redeemable for physical gold or silver, adding another layer of utility, though the mechanism might differ from redeeming ARXG or ARXS directly.
Plus, maybe priority access to new features or offerings down the line.
That's mentioned too, yes. Early access for token holders.
How are these 100 million tokens being distributed?
The largest chunk, 65%, is allocated for a public sale.
That's quite high. Suggests a focus on broad distribution.
Seems like it. Then 15% is kept in reserve for stability, future development maybe.
Okay.
10% for ecosystem growth and rewards things like incentivizing liquidity or user adoption.
What about the team?
5% for the team and advisors, then smaller slices. 3% for strategic partners, and 2% for marketing.
Seems fairly standard, with a heavy emphasis on the public sale. Now, scalability and interoperability, huge topics in blockchain. How does aurex plan to handle lots of users and transactions and connect with other systems?
They lean heavily on that sidra chain layer too we mentioned earlier. The goal there is speed and low fees, essential if you want people trading frequently.
Right. High fees kill usability.
Exactly. Then for interoperability, there's an Ethereum bridge planned.
To connect to the massive Ethereum ecosystem, access its users and apps.
That's the point. Bridging allows tokens and data to move between aurex chain and Ethereum. They also mention ZK rollups.
Zero-knowledge tech for scaling.
Yes, ZK rollups can bundle many transactions together, process them off-chain, and then post a compact proof back to the main chain, increases efficiency.
And looking further out.
Plans include integrating a cross-chain DX, allowing trading across even more blockchains, and DeFi compatibility.
So plugging their tokenized gold and silver into decentralized finance applications. Lending, borrowing, yield farming.
That seems to be the ambition, unlocking more liquidity and financial use cases for the tokens. Interoperability is really key for growth.
Okay, roadmap time. When is all this supposed to happen?
The white paper lays out a timeline. It started back in Q4 2025 with the project idea and an MVP minimum viable product.
Then Q1 2026 saw the white paper release we're discussing and forming strategic partnerships.
Next up, and this is a big one, Q2 2026 is slated for the token sale launch, that aurex public sale.
Okay, so coming up relatively soon according to this plan.
Seems so. Then Q4 2026, focus shifts to DeFi ecosystem expansion. And looking into 2027, the goals are global scaling and integrating with institutional players.
Ambitious timeline. Of course, none of this happens in a vacuum. What about regulations?
Crucial point. They state their intention to incorporate in a jurisdiction that's inherently Sharia compliant. Places like Qatar or the UAE are mentioned as examples.
Setting the tone right from the legal structure.
Exactly. And they stress compliance measures like KYCML.
Know your customer and anti-money laundering. Standard stuff for financial services.
Yes, verifying user identities. Plus, ensuring the secure custody of the physical assets and following frameworks aligned with FATF, the Financial Action Task Force guidelines against money laundering and terrorist financing.
And they're getting legal checks.
Ongoing legal audit, they say, by experts in both Islamic finance and blockchain law. A proactive approach.
Which is definitely needed in this space. It shows they're thinking about longevity and legitimacy.
Yeah, building trust within existing legal and ethical frameworks.
So, putting it all together, how does aurex stack up against others already doing tokenized gold, like PXG or Tether Gold, XAUT?
The white paper actually does a bit of comparison, mentioning names like PXG, XAUT, Kinesis, PMGT.
And what do they highlight as their unique selling points?
Well, number one is obviously the Islamic compliance structure. That's a major differentiator for a specific large market.
Right.
The accessibility through fractional ownership, starting from just 1 gram, that low entry point.
Okay.
The option for physical redemption, being able to actually get the metal back. Not all platforms offer that easily.
The cross-chain support we talked about, aiming for wider integration.
Yep. And finally, that commitment to transparent on-chain audits for the reserves, fostering that verifiable trust.
So they're positioning themselves based on a combination of accessibility, ethical framework, and transparency.
Seems to be the core value proposition, aiming to address gaps left by traditional options and maybe some existing token platforms too.
Okay, let's try to wrap this up. Based on our deep dive into the aurex white paper, what are the main takeaways?
I think the core idea is trying to genuinely revolutionize how people access precious metals, combining the age-old stability of gold and silver with modern blockchain efficiency.
And critically, layering on that adherence to Islamic finance principles. It's tackling traditional barriers, cost, access, security head-on.
Yeah, the fractional ownership really stands out for broadening access. And the Sharia compliance clearly targets a significant global demographic that's often underserved by traditional finance, let alone crypto.
The focus on transparency, the audits, the proof of reserves, It all points towards an effort to build a trustworthy platform.
And the tech choices, Layer 2, bridges, oracles, suggest they're thinking seriously about scalability and usability.
For anyone listening whose interest is piqued, that Q2 2026 token sale is the next major milestone according to the roadmap.
Right. The white paper suggests potential benefits for early participants, maybe better pricing, lower fees later on, possibly those governance rights we mentioned.
And if you want to dig deeper yourself, the white paper points to their website, aurextoken.io, an email address, info@aurextoken.io.
And the usual social channels, Telegram, Twitter, Discord, even GitHub for the more technically inclined.
All right, so as we close out, here's something to maybe mull over.
Yeah.
How might this convergence, taking something as traditional as gold, blending it with cutting-edge blockchain tech, and wrapping it in an ethical framework like Islamic finance, how might that change your perspective? Not just on investing in metals, but maybe on the future possibilities in finance more broadly.
That's a great question. The intersection of old and new, technology and ethics. It definitely makes you think about where finance could be headed. Certainly something to keep an eye on.